Hey, hey, it's Stephanie Ferrara, your empowered creativity coach. I'm so excited that you're here today. As a Christ centered business coach, I help women in the early stages of their business develop strong foundations for a healthy, thriving, God driven business. I help them take their business online. I help them develop their niche and their branding, their personal brand, not just a logo and the colors. I also help them with creating their signature course that they can take online to extend and teach their knowledge to others. I get to introduce you to a new friend of mine, Courtney Ribeiro, and she has some fantastic tips for you on using LinkedIn as opposed to some of the other more popular social media sites to grow your business. Courtney is the Chief Marketing Officer and owner of MWC Digital Agency. Marketing with Courtney is what that stands for. And she is excited to be celebrating 10 years in business this year. She used to be major corporate, worked with big names in the industries of, with Paul Mitchel and other Fortune 500 companies. And she now, after a health scare, now has her own business. And she's going to tell you about that health scare and how that propelled her into her own business when we get started. I'm really excited for the information that she has. I know she and I have talked a few times recently, and she is a wealth of knowledge, and I know you're going to learn tons from her. All right. Well, thank you, Courtney, so much for joining us today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about your business?
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for having me. My name is Courtney Taylor Ribeiro, and I am the owner and chief marketing officer of MWC Digital Agency, otherwise known as Marketing with Courtney. And I help individuals to create a dynamic standout brand by turning their social media profiles into attraction magnets, allowing their ideal audience to really cling to them and not necessarily have to spend yourself out of business with, Facebook ads or Google ads. Those are all important. But my biggest belief is helping people gain clients and attraction organically.
That's awesome, and that's so important. It's such a difference from having to like go out and pursue, right, and really like cold calls and all those things that people hate. But the attraction marketing, where you're actually putting stuff out there that is meaningful and helpful and draws people in because it's what they're searching for, and
Absolutely.
makes a huge difference overall. So tell me about the catalyst moment for you that propelled you out of the corporate world and into your own business.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of has that aha moment, right? And I was working in corporate. I have worked for some big name brands like Paul Mitchel, DiGiorno, and working in the financial industry was pretty much my last run in corporate after working 80 hours a week for 3 years consecutively. And I honestly blacked out on my office floor. It was so embarrassing. It was that moment where, oh my gosh, I need to do something bigger and better with my life than having someone control my destiny. So it took me a good 8 months to figure out what I want to do. And, as a Christian, God just put a vision in my heart to be able to bring the Wall Street principles that I learned to everyday average Americans, or, Main Street people, making it simpler. I found that a lot of the people that were online were making it way too complicated, and people couldn't really, grab onto the content or material they were sharing. So I wanted to show up and make things different, make things easier and effective.
That's fantastic. And I think that that's what so many of us um, as self-employed, business owners do. We realize that we want a little bit more control over our own time and what we spend our time doing, and
Yes.
um, and so we do have those catalyst moments where it's
Mm-hmm.
okay, I've had enough. I've got to go do
Yeah.
something else, and then it's time. And I love how you shared how God put that dream inside of you. I mean, that's how it happened for me as well.
Yeah.
One summer working, he planted this dream of business coaching, life coaching into me, and I had to go and research what in the world was that, because I didn't even
Right?
know, which was good, because then at least I knew, like, this wasn't just my own made up thing, because it was something I
Yeah.
wasn't really familiar with. Um, the difference between a consultant, I'd worked with consultants, I'd been a consultant before, but what was the difference between a consultant and a coach, and what was business
Yeah.
coaching versus life coaching? And I had to do a lot of research to figure out,
Right.
what was God telling me to do?
And then you have that wake up moment where it's like, oh, wow, I could actually get paid for all the knowledge I have. Um, and at that point, Stephanie, it really was a wake up moment where money was no longer really the thing I was chasing. It was time, because I felt as though I took so much time away from my friends, family, and loved ones, that the biggest asset and commodity to me was my time. And if you wanted to get into my calendar or take my time, it had to be something of extreme value. Money was no longer, the thing I was chasing, because I chased that for 3 years, and where did it get me, right?
Right. So one of the things is you got started in your business, and you were taking these principles from Wall Street, as you say, and trying to help others in small business. What are some challenges, or what's like one big challenge that you really had to overcome, and what did you learn from it?
I honestly, I wish that I took all my connections from social media and moved them to my email list much sooner. I had over 10,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I wish I converted them. At the time, it was, social media wasn't even sexy when I started it 10 years ago, especially LinkedIn. And then it developed over time. And I really wish I had built it, because last year, my 9th year in business, LinkedIn totally got wiped out from underneath me. I got hacked, and that was an aha moment where, like, you need to be able to create a better sales funnel. You preach this to your clients all day long, but it's like, we're the shoemakers over here. You know what I mean? And so that was my aha moment, and you learn from it, you pick yourself up, and you move forward, and you make the corrections that need to be made, right?
Right. I know when we had talked previously, we did talk a lot about LinkedIn, and it's not one of the networks that is talked about frequently. It's not nearly as popular as talking about Facebook and
Yeah.
Instagram. Can you tell us, because my audience is, they are small business owners. They're mostly women. They have a website. They usually write some blogs. They're building their own courses. What
Yeah.
suggestions, if you could give us a few tips about using LinkedIn in this process, like what's the difference in the audience between LinkedIn versus Facebook
Sure.
maybe? And then what are some
So,
tips for using LinkedIn?
yeah, I've always said the difference between, Facebook and LinkedIn is, and the misconceived notion most people have is, oh, LinkedIn's the place where you upload a resume, you go and you look for employment. And that's true. That's where I actually started when I, launched Marketing with Courtney. I came into the marketing world and arena as a career coach, because people weren't utilizing and taking advantage of how you could utilize LinkedIn to have the hiring managers chase after you. But the other golden nugget that LinkedIn has is the ability to connect with B2B and B2C individuals. If you are in business where you're creating courses and content, LinkedIn has a separate, I guess, plugin, you would say, called lynda.com, where they are putting together small e-courses for people to grab hold of a certain content, whether it's email marketing, whether it's how do I use social media, things like how do I use, Microsoft Word and Excel and all of that. So it's a great platform to network with B2B and B2C. To answer your question, what's the difference between Facebook and LinkedIn? It's easy. Facebook is where you would find someone in your address book, right? You're going to send these people like a thank you card, a birthday card, a Christmas card. And then over on LinkedIn, it's your VIP people where it's your Rolodex. I know I may be like, 35, but some people don't know what a Rolodex is. And that was like the little, card stack you had on your desk of all your VIP people back in the day alphabetically, and you could just pull them up, call them, on the phone and they would answer you. So LinkedIn is where when it's Christmas time or it's someone's birthday, you're sending them that bottle of champagne, wine, whatever. You want to make them feel like they're having a red carpet experience with you. So that's the difference between Facebook. Facebook's more relaxed, and LinkedIn's more like you have a security guard in front of you. You need to be able to get past the security guard in order to enter into this red carpet experience with someone. But once you learn those skills, it's killer. You'll make more money on LinkedIn than you will on Facebook, simply because of the demographics and how people are, approaching the marketplace. On Facebook, you got your stay-at-home moms, you got the people who are, in their home-based business, and then you have LinkedIn, where it's more of your CEOs, your VPs. And I'm not saying that those type of people aren't on Facebook, but the reality is more of those people are on LinkedIn.
And I think one of the things you and I talked about is just the purpose of them being there as well, right? So on
Yeah.
Facebook, you're killing time, you're doing it in between things. You're out there for entertainment more, of just,
Yes.
seeing some cute memes, cute pictures of kids and family members, kids and things like that. And
Yeah.
and you're not going necessarily out to Facebook to purchase things. Although I do see that, like, I think the Facebook page from a business standpoint is more like our yellow pages. Like, you use the
Yeah.
analogy of the Rolodex. I think where yellow pages has kind of gone away, the
Mhm.
Facebook page is your yellow pages.
Yeah.
And just like I believe that, like, your website is what says you're actually a business. So
Yeah.
it's
your billboard. It's
right.
your billboard.
Right. And so the difference between Facebook and LinkedIn is people that are on LinkedIn, and they're going there for professional purposes. They're going there to network with other business leaders. They're going there to find business related articles and information and training and things like that. And that is very different. And so knowing, I talk a lot with my audience about knowing your niche and knowing that one person that you're really trying to reach. And so when you have that story, when you know who that person is, when you know who your ideal client is, then you got to know, where are they hanging out? What are they doing? Where are you going to have the most impact? So if your ideal client is that stay-at-home mom or the network marketer that's doing the thing on the side, and stuff like that, then Facebook definitely is where you're going to want to go do that. But if you're trying to attract more corporate related, or even former corporate, they've been in that corporate world and there's a different mindset to that, then LinkedIn might be where you need to go.
Exactly. And, the difference between Facebook is you need 100 perfect people on Facebook due to the algorithm, right? Once you get your 100 perfect people who are consistently liking, commenting, and sharing, you are going to show up in the news feed, right? And you want to have 100 perfect people to put in your group. Your group is like that VIP section on Facebook, where they get to know you more one-on-one. They could ask questions and engage and really build that community. Whereas on LinkedIn, you need 10 perfect people. LinkedIn's algorithm right now is better than any paid advertising. And if you know how to show up and do video and really attract people to you, you just need 10 perfect people. So it takes you a little bit longer to build that community on Facebook than it does on LinkedIn, because once someone trusts you on LinkedIn, forget it, it's gangbusters. They're going to bring their whole entire network to come and really engage with you. So that's pretty much the difference. For example, on Facebook, on my personal page, for me to engage with people, I actually do a cooking show in my kitchen. And I show people that you do not need to go out and spend $500 a week on groceries for a family of 5. You just don't need to do that. So where does that then lead? It leads to me having a conversation with them about their finances, how to be able to budget, because if they can't manage the small things, then they're certainly not going to be able to manage the big things when their business takes off. So how can you take something that's really fun to grab someone on Facebook in a more personal way to then gravitate them to something bigger in your business? So that's how I basically utilize Facebook. I do have a group in there that encourages people on a Christian level. So that's how Facebook is. If you brought that over to LinkedIn, they look at you like you had six heads and say, what is this person doing? Right? So that's the difference. You have to understand, the professionalism of LinkedIn and then the fun side of Facebook to make it fun, and then bring them over into some kind of business community.
So if there's one thing, and you may have already covered this in the previous question, but just to circle back, if there was one thing that you could do differently or one mistake that you made that you were like, man, I would change that in a heartbeat if I had known it earlier, what would that have
Yeah.
been?
Well, I mentioned one, and then I will tell you another thing. So I talked about being able to get people on my email list a lot sooner. The other thing I see so many business owners doing is dollar per hour. And I started that way because I wasn't known in my industry. As a matter of fact, the guy that was my very first client, he still follows me on Facebook. He's my biggest cheerleader. He will talk to anyone and attest about my, program. I basically offered him a lot of things for free. And I charged him $50 to redo a resume. Today, the way that I scaled was bringing in a team and many team members so I can outsource the things that I may not necessarily be 100% good at, or it takes me way too much time. So I brought on team members, okay, and that's something you should do right away. And you want to be able to offer packages. You want to offer retainers. You want people coming to you and buying a package and giving you a monthly retainer. That is how you scale. So now I only work with 5 people a month in my one-on-one coaching program that will pay me a monthly retainer. People think you need to go work with 5,000 people a year in order to make 6 and 7 figures, and that's the biggest mistake. I don't really do group coaching simply because I don't think that when you do group coaching, especially in the arena I'm in, which is marketing, you can't cookie cutter that. It's something that is different to everybody. Everyone's going to have a different brand. Everyone's going to have a different voice. Everyone's going to have a different demographic that they're going after. I will host webinars from time to time and offer smaller mentorship programs like I'm going to be doing next week. Tomorrow I do the webinar and we're kicking off the mentorship program. So I will offer things like that, but I'm not the girl who does the group coaching. I don't believe in it. I feel people get left out. I feel the retention is bad. So things that I should have learned from the beginning was hire as many people as possible to do the things that you don't really feel too strong with. Focus on the things you do feel really strong, which is my LinkedIn coaching. I outsource the rest of the stuff like website development, SEO, email marketing, all of that. And really to charge packages, because you are discounting yourself a ton by not doing retainers every single month.
Excellent tips. Excellent. Very good.
Yeah.
Something that I ask all of my guests, so I want to ask you too, is
Sure.
what does it mean to you to let God lead in your life and business?
And that's probably another thing I should have put on the list to the last question, right? Letting God be your CEO. Okay. Now, I had 5 clients that I was serving last year, one of which was paying me 6 figures for the entire year. So if you think that LinkedIn doesn't work, it does, because I got a client that paid me 6 figures for 3 years consecutively. Do the math, friends. And in November of 2019, he said, dump all your clients. Now, if God literally showed up to you in your business today, how would you handle that? Would you be like, well, how am I supposed to be able to survive? I'm having a client that's paying me 6 figures. And I had said, you know what? You're my CEO. You have been able to bless me abundantly. I know you're going to turn me around into a different direction. And he has. So I let go of all those clients. It's been great. It's been freeing. He prepared me for a time such as this where we're living in crisis. And he told me, work harder on yourself, Courtney, than anything else. And I'm going to tell you this. It's better to obey him than having to literally deal with the spanking in the butt, because when you disobey, there are consequences. And I've learned those consequences by not obeying him. So now when he shows up and he says or gives me a vision or, tells me to shift, I'm obedient. Because when I'm not, it's more of a struggle. So, I've shifted, I've gone and been more open to utilizing Facebook. I mean, we wouldn't have met if I hadn't shifted over a little bit to Facebook. So sometimes when he says to drop all your clients, drop them, because he will sustain you no matter what. If he tells you to shift and offer a different program or change your pricing for that matter, then you better obey, because he has the ability to close your doors too.
That's so true. I actually this past week, this weekend almost finished the web page for a new program I'm offering, and the reason why it's like kind of clunky even talking about it is because it feels very new, because it is something that just over the last couple of weeks that God was moving me towards this, and so one of the things I know that I run into is, between my coach and other mentors that I follow and what they say to do, right? There are many times that the Holy Spirit will tell me, yeah, but you need to do it this way. and
I tell my clients that all the time. I'm just a voice piece. Sometimes God will speak through me to tell you how to shift. And if he's not giving you that alignment and he's like, back off, then you know what? You've got to listen to the Holy Spirit for your own business, right? I'm just an instrument. And yes, he could speak through that. But if he's coming to you in a different way, then, together we need to go into prayer. So I totally agree.
Yeah, and I do the same thing like you mentioned with your prices and everything. When it comes to a new program, I'm always, okay, you've told me to do this program. How much do I charge for it? And I wait to hear the number in my head. And even through this time, where a lot of people are making major discounts and things like that to their programs, I asked him as I was developing this new one, okay, well, this is what it's going to be. You've told me to charge this much. Do I discount it first? And he said no. He said, now these other programs, like I have some DIY courses where you just buy the course, do it all yourself, right? He said, you can discount those, but not this.
Right.
And the difference is he's telling me don't discount the ones that require my personal time. So I can discount the ones that are just DIY, but not my personal time.
And the thing of it is that there's been, arguments going back and forth all through social media, especially with the whole COVID. And my husband and I have had this conversation, and people around me have had this conversation, lower your price, lower your price, lower your price. And I'm like, no, I understand my value. You want to get inside my brain, and you want to be able to handpick everything that I've fed into my brain that's cost me 6 figures to, fill this thing, 6 inches between, here and here. And you want to come in. So let me ask you this. During a time of crisis, do you go to Walmart, go with your shopping cart, fill it with everything you want, go out the door and say, I deserve it for free because we're in crisis? Nope. Right. Prices have gone up. You're still going to the store and you're getting the things that you need. So here's what I decided to do. You won't get Courtney for 4 months at discount. You will get me maybe for a 6-week kickoff. Okay, and here's the price, right? So yes, it's a shorter time, it's less money, but I'm not discounting what I know I could bring to the marketplace. I will offer up free webinars like I'm doing tomorrow. I will then offer up on that webinar a mentorship program, which will be a 4-week program. So again, it's something shorter, but I know my value. Am I gonna go charge, $500 per hour for something like that? No. But if you want something smaller, I know my value and I'm not discounting that, right? There are people, and God gave me this vision too, for the people who want maybe like a 2-month program, okay? They can't afford to put all of the money up front. Offer the opportunity to do a down payment, non-refundable, and they can pay you until the end of the year, right? Monthly payments. And, you know, you're still showing up and you're still offering them something. If they choose not to pay
Right.
that month, then you don't show up, right? So you can be flexible, but do not lower your value. Don't do it. You could discount, like you said, the one and done, but if they want to get into your brain one-on-one and have a personal conversation with you and have access to you 24/7, no.
Right.
Lawyer, the mortgage company didn't discount the payment you make on your mortgage. The car company didn't discount that.
Right.
They may defer it, but you still owe it. That's
Exactly.
my
Exactly.
thinking.
And I think there's also, a lot of women. I don't know. I work with mostly women, and so I don't know what the mindset is on men. But I will say for mostly women, there's that fear of leaving people behind and leaving people out. And so I think that's where you can address it by having one ton of free content, right? Things that
Yeah.
that if they really wanted to work hard and do it, even if they haven't invested in it, there's information out there for them, right? And then you
Mhm.
have your lower, you may have like your like I do with my DIY courses, right? Those are lower ticket items, and
Yeah.
so easily, no brainer type purchases. And then
Right.
for if you're wanting to build something, so I've got one on niche, I've got one on branding, I've got one on money mindset. So there's those are all of, to me, the foundations of any business, right?
Yeah.
Who are you selling to? What are you selling, and how do you feel about what it is you're selling and the prices and what you want to do with that money later? So um, those are the three things that I have available as the DIY. One of those, my branding course, has an option that has some private coaching with it. And so,
Mhm.
as we mentioned, the DIY side of it is discounted, but the one that has private coaching is still the same. That one does not have a
Yeah.
discount. And that is, like I said, it's when I prayed about it, I asked, do I discount anything? And he told me exactly which ones to discount, which ones not
Mhm.
to. And it's just a matter of there are still people that are employed. Like, not everybody is out of work. There are still people
Right.
that are employed. They may be looking now, they may have a little more fire of, I've got to make sure I'm prepared in the future. So they may
Yeah.
be in a place where they're ready, where they weren't yet because they were really comfortable. I know this was me before I left my corporate job, and kind of how you did yours too, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
comfortable, you're afraid to step out and leave, you're afraid to leave the predictability of the paycheck, right? And but when you have something like this that hits, like that plan B option that's always been kind of in the back of your head may need to come to the forefront. And there are people now that are ready to do that. They're like, okay, this was the little kick in the booty that they needed to say, it's time. It's time for me to start my
Yeah.
own business now.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a matter of, I know there's been, even on social media, a lot of back and forth on, hey, you've always said you didn't have time to do this, now you've got tons of time. And there's been some
Yeah.
arguments about, well, no, because now they're having to do their kids and work and all that kind of stuff. I get that. And so it's not, to me, it's never been a matter of time. I've always been somebody who fills my time. I'm busy, all of that. If it's something I want to do and something I want to make happen, I'm going to make it happen. And time is never an excuse to not do
Right.
it.
Right.
Things may take longer because I don't have as much time in one setting, right? Some other things might take longer, but time is never an excuse. And right now, I think there is just that movement in the atmosphere of it's time. It's time to
Yeah.
move. It's time to go now.
I
And
agree.
so we have to have offers on the table when somebody comes to our website and they're looking for that help that meet the needs of everybody, so nobody feels left out. So
Right.
you have kind of those three levels. You have free your free content, you have your lower level ticket items, and then your high ticket items.
Yeah.
And there are customers out there for all levels.
I totally agree. And, you were saying about time. There's never going to be a perfect time. There's
Right.
always going to be a crisis. So either you're going to have excuses or you're going to have results, but you can't have both.
Right.
And if your kids are home, that should be the number one reason as to why you want to get started. And especially as a Christian, you have to have fear into faith. You have to have that breakthrough moment where you know that your fear isn't keeping you anywhere. And sometimes it's literally taking that leap of faith and doing exactly what God wants you to do and what He's called you and designed you to do. And it's not going to look sexy from the beginning. I'll tell you that right now. It's not going to look sexy. But if you choose to take the leap of faith, He's going to carry you. You may have a offer right in front of you to join someone one-on-one or to do a, e-course or something like that. Friends, there's no excuse about money because we have YouTube available to us. We've got Facebook where people are showing up and doing, Facebook lives and things like that. I would rather take someone who is in a massive amount of debt and have them invest into me for a very small price. Okay. So let's say they hop on my webinar, they do my mentorship program, a 4-week course with me for $750, and I teach them how to annihilate debt, pay off their debt in a very short period of time, especially while they are in a crisis and maybe they're not bringing in an income right now, and then show them how to create a business online that's going to bring them in more money than they've ever made in their life. Versus I'm going to sit over here in fear, continue to pay all my bills with Plastic Peter to pay off Plastic Paul, and continue spiraling down. So sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith. I did. I was 8 months unemployed, no money coming in, medical bills stacked up because my health was an absolute mess. And I said to God, I said, you need to have my tax return come to X number of dollars so I could get on a plane to Texas and go train with one of the best coaches. I spent 2 months there, $10,000 later, and 6 months after that, I was international. Mm-hmm. So the question you have to ask yourself is, do you like the life you're currently living? If not, what are you willing to change? What are you willing to give up so you can live your best life now?
Perfect. What a way to end it. That's great. Thank you so much, Courtney, for sharing with us and for giving us the LinkedIn tips, and also, just those financial tips as well, and knowing that you've got a plan, you've got to know what you want to do, and no excuses. Right?
No excuses.
Yeah. So how can we connect with you?
Sure. So you could connect with me on Facebook, on my personal page, which we will link it here, Courtney Taylor Ribeiro, because I want to get to know you on a personal level first. You can go over to my LinkedIn profile. It's under Courtney Nicole because I got hacked. I had to use a different name. You can contact me on my website, MWC Digital Agency. MWC stands for Marketing with Courtney. So MWC Digital Agency. Stephanie will give you all those links so you can link them below.
Very good. Well, very good.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate you taking the time to interview me. And if there's anything I could do to help you or your community, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you once again, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephanie. I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope you took a lot out of today's interview. Stay safe out there.
Courtney was a wealth of knowledge. I am so excited and so glad that you were able to learn from her today. And I invite you to go and get her free video series that she has. It's called What Every Business Owner Must Do Before Marketing Online. And you can get it at MWCdigitalagency.com.